Have you ever imagined working in a place where the moment you walk in, you completely forget who you are outside of it? And when you leave, you have no memory of what you did or what happened during your workday. That's the reality for the employees of Lumen in the TV series Severance. Through voluntary surgical procedures, workers have their identities and memories split. One part of them exists only at work, while the other lives only outside of it. The balance between personal and professional life is explored in the series in an intriguing way, with elements that can be directly connected to the concepts explored in the course Psychology and Sociology of Work.
All memories and identity of the individual is gone. Not only deep aspects such as their real personality and traits are forgotten, but also basic ones like their name and birth. As soon as the individual arrives at the company, they have to do a survey with 5 questions. The survey is made to make sure that they don't know any personal aspects about themselves, but still have some general knowledge of what's going on in the world. So there's a question like, please name a US state, and others like, what is your name? For that, they have to answer unknown. After that, the person is divided into 2 different personalities, their outie and their innie. Their innie is who they are at work, only at work, and their outie is who they are at their personal lives. That has nothing to do with work. They live the same life, but they don't know what's going on in their outie and the innie. So for example, the person arrives at work, and when they leave, they don't remember living. They only remember being there at work. According to PDW, this split interferes in the identity of self, which is vital for keeping a healthy identity and sense of self.
Another really relevant aspect is that the innies have no clue of what they're doing at work. Their job is to spend the whole day at the computer, analyzing numbers and grouping them into different boxes. In that context, they have no idea of what their work represents and also have no access to their identity and context, so they can link who they are and their values with what they do, eliminating the possibility of ipsity, which is an important concept discussed by PDW. It is an identity pillar related to a person's capacity of reflecting ethically of their own actions, maintaining an internal coherence throughout the time. Because of that, they are basically treated as machines and find it impossible to find meaning at work. Besides all that, innies are also never recognized in meaningful ways, neither for usefulness nor beauty. In the show, recognition is distorted and superficial, and usually consists of childish prizes, like balloons for example. That undermines any real identity building and leaves them empty. Based on our learnings, we can state that the work is only sustainable if it is a source of meaning and recognition. If those elements are absent, not only performance is lost, but also people and their identities.
When watching this series, we realize that the innies spend their entire work lives analyzing numbers without knowing the impact of their actions or the purpose of the company they are working for. Because of the severance procedure, they are trapped into monotonous and endless routine with no breaks or meaning, which is extremely related to the causes of emotional exhaustion. From this emotional emptiness, they start to experience symptoms of cynicism and apathy. But the most severe consequence is the radical dispersonalization, as they are unable to build a narrative of who they are. All of those aspects, when summed up with mental distance and low perceived efficacy of the job they are performing, lead to one well-known pathology of work: burnout. By literally separating the employee's mind in 2, The company tries to avoid the effects of the psych suffering. Instead of dealing with the root cause, just try to erase the individuals who feels it. Like, if work is making people sick, the answer is not to change the work, but to eliminate the awareness of the pain itself.
Excuse me, Helly.
Jesus, Helly!
I'm on a camera!
I am so sorry, Miss Cobell.
What is happening here?
What's happening is you're going to give me a video camera so I can tape a resignation to my Audi right fucking now. Or you're going to have to explain to her why she's missing 4 fingers.
Okay.
Despite the company's efforts to erase it, the symptom of burnout and emotional and mental exhaustion still manifests in different ways. As the episodes progress and time goes by in the company, some A's begin to show clear signs of depersonalization, apathy, and also mental breakdowns. A clear example of this is when Helly attempts suicide. This is a direct manifestation of what de Jus defines as mental alienation, when the loss of contact with reality and lack of recognition by the other occurs simultaneously. De Jus also describes it as solitude of classical madness. In classical psychiatry, the concept of madness was often associated with a deep form of existential isolation, in which the person stops relating to the world and no longer perceives themselves as a part of something greater or as someone seen and recognized by others. For de Jus, the concept of mental alienation in the context of work mirrors this structure. Once the worker becomes disconnected from the reality of their labor and simultaneously deprived of recognition, they enter this state of solitude, physically present in the environment, but physically abandoned. The series Severance portrays the scenario perfectly through the working conditions at Lumen. Helly's journey is a clear example of how, even with the genuine human connections she manages to build with her coworkers, she still feels an inner void that grows and begins to disturb her, ultimately leading her to attempt suicide. This is what classical madness looks like, a condition in which a person is surrounded by others, yet utterly alone with a system that recognizes neither their suffering nor their existence as an individual. It is not a form of torture brought on by chaos or violence, but rather by the abandon of the human psyche.
In the end, Severance is not just a story about a fictional company. It can be seen as a critique to how work-life balance and other questions regarding work are explored nowadays. It makes us ask some questions. What happens when we give up control of who we are in order to become more efficient? When work becomes everything but means nothing, what truly remains? Those questions might make us think not only about how ethics work in that fictional company, but also how corporate control happens in our real world and daily life.